Hey guys, welcome to the show. Got a great one lined up for you today. We're continuing to drop anchor over and over and over again. As usual, if you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. Ballbusters, assemble! Nathan Oakley, sir, how's it going today?
Very well, very well. Good to be here as ever, talking about science. Nice to have dropped anchor somewhere pleasant. Calm ocean waters.
Chocolate saying, welcome back.
What is that?
What is that?
What's going on, man?
Good to have you, man. Arwen.
Yep.
Yo.
I'll
Good
give you
evening.
yo.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Yep. Welcome aboard.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that I threw out anchor first because when I just moved in here, like half a year, I found this anchor and it's been on my roof. I have testimony to this. My Flat Earth Early Bird show and Flat Earth talks. And
Someone dropped anchor on your roof?
yeah, I did. I put an anchor there for the potential airship that might pick me.
Oh, Lord, here we go. And we got Flatsoid. What's up, Flatsoid?
Hey, good to be here.
I'm gonna have to
Definitely worth
I'm
it.
gonna have to turn you down, Holmes. Let's try that again. Flatsoid, how's it going?
Hey, is it better? No, Solano?
Yeah, thank you for your service and providing me at least 3 more numpty clips down the line. And by the way, folks, get ready out there because Daddy has taken over his own numpty clips and they'll be coming at you. Boy, I'll tell you what, I've been listening to them all over again. They are absolutely classic and getting better. I'm just getting better with them, right? It's just a feel thing. Yeah, after 150 of them, you kind of start getting good at it. But they're coming. Yeah, within the next 2 weeks, they're going to start rolling down the mountain, baby. So get ready out there. Tell your friends. And I've been thinking about this. Like I said, I've been listening to them over and over and over again because the upload, download, that routine. And I would have to say that if somebody is coming into this genre, into the flat earth, globe earth genre, I can't think of a better introduction than the numpty clips to just start it off. I may be biased, but I'm thinking that might be something we may consider. Anyone else?
I agree.
It's great.
Empty clips is awesome.
Yeah, I like the numpty clips. Weird thing is, if you didn't have you narrating what's actually occurring, the danger that people will hear that kind of crap, and they do, it just rushes straight past them. Now, generally, I'm talking to the people who are on the panel with these numpties, and they say this stuff. I may stand corrected here, but they don't get corrected. In other words, nobody's pulling them up and going, hello. That's why they're making it and you're having to point it out. It means that the people around them aren't. And it means that the audience, for the fact that you're putting out the numpty clips and highlighting it, may not notice either. They might not realize how stupid some of the things these people say are.
But Nathan, in those types of moments when it really happens live, people like us, we're overwhelmed by the sheer awe of the level of stupidity. We just like, what?
I concur with that.
And afterward, you scramble and you realize like how iconically stupid it really is. So we really need to look afterward for these types of moments. Thank you.
Maybe. On the whole, I think with the numpty clips on the whole, it's where they've had uninterrupted air. You can hear them saying it. Yes, there might be some kerfuffle in the background, but it isn't necessarily them saying, my God, can you realize how stupid what you've just said is? It often isn't that. I mean, with someone like Chocolate, they're normally pure my panel, or Flat Earth debate panel, are pouncing all over numpties when they say something crazy, and it's a struggle to keep it on track because everyone else on the panel wants to jump straight on it. But when you hear it elsewhere, they just don't. People don't pounce on it and say, "Wow, that's a really stupid thing to say."
Yeah,
But
go ahead, Chuck.
I have testimony though of when I've put on different clips, and maybe not most of the numpty clips, which I should start sharing around, but just different parts of the Flat Earth debate I'll put on for people, especially people like Rumpus and these guys, and people will say to me, Is that real? Like, is that person really defending like the globe? And I say, yeah, that person is defending your globe. Yes. Like, nah, that's an act. Like, that's stupid. Why is that person sound? Well, first of all, why does he sound like that? And second of all, why is he saying such stupidity? This is what I get when I share the show. That's the reaction I get from people that work with me. So.
Normal people. The problem is that people like the Rumpus have got to create the impression he's the normal person, and the normal reaction is to respond with ridicule, completely decry anything we ever claim, and propose their nonsense that's in rebuttal to our actual rebuttal to their claim of a sphere Earth. Well, he's got to make that in some way seem normal to people who are around him, at least on the panel. Don't get me wrong, there's lots of people who complain, at least when it's in Flat Earth versus what's ever called again? Science versus Scientism. Is that correct? Earth science versus Scientism?
Yes.
Yeah, certainly on this Discord server, people will just bitch and moan, but that is also the point of the distraction technique. If you can cause enough of a ruckus, people won't be paying attention to the subject at hand. If you can get them all moaning about how you're causing a disruption to it, then that's job's a good one, because they haven't got any defense at the moment. So it's not surprising that Joe Normie, who's listening in on that and isn't part of the panel and isn't part of the Discord server, they go, "What the hell? I can't believe they're saying that. Up is down," or whatever they're saying.
It's not just relegated to just the trenchies, though. When I show people Don Pettit saying anything, let alone trying to sound smart, they look at. I've had people literally tell me he doesn't work for NASA. Show me that he works for NASA. Show me Michelle Thaler works for NASA. After showing them, yeah, I'm a complicated rock. That rock is my cousin over there on the mountain. And they'll try to debunk me and tell me, oh, these people don't work for NASA. What?
Yeah, we've had this conversation before. Ah, man, do you remember a couple of years back? You and I having this exact conversation with similar experiences where you go, check out this footage, and they'll demand that you prove that they claim it's real. And you're like, that's just fake. That's the Globe Normie telling me that's fake footage. And you're like, no, that's being punted as real with a guy in a Tesla. That's supposed to be your real world. That's what you've got to believe in. Yeah, prove to me that that's my claim.
And aren't we hearing that a lot lately? Prove to me that that's my claim. That's a funny thing.
Yeah, but it shows you how desensitized normal people are to the stupidity that actually comes out. If it's not pointed to them, they're not going to really notice.
And that's me running around like, wait a minute, you guys all believe this. Why is it I'm the only one who knows these people actually work for NASA? You guys all believe what NASA tells you, though. You see how that works? You guys don't even pay attention to this stuff. You just believe it.
Yeah, you know why, though, don't you? Because you're not their target demographic. Children are their target demographic, not you.
Hey, I'd like to shout out some super chats, man. From Chris Chitoris, fight the good fight. Thanks, man. He says, stay frosty. You betcha. Enjoy a beer or coffee on me, most assuredly. And Tony Wickham, hey, sir. A big old one. The Church of Truth is back with a vengeance. It's right. Ain't going anywhere. We're dropping anchor, sir. We're staying. Thanks. Appreciate it.
If back in 1984, they've got the telescreens. I'm sure everyone's aware since they made it public with Windows 10 that the microphones are very much listening and figuring out things to advertise to you. I can only assume that there's a similar algorithm as part of YouTube. because they keep presenting me anti-flat. I mean, they're always presenting me anti-flat Earth material. They're never presenting me anything pro-flat Earth, I'm sure. But the type of anti-flat Earth that they're presenting me, saying, would you be interested in the fact that people will constantly say flat Earthers don't understand science, or that a flat Earthers experiment has proven the globe? These sorts of videos are being offered to me all the time, and I think, is it because I'm talking about this quite a lot at the moment, because of all the ballbusters, like you say, dropping anchor? They think, well, our algorithm says you need somebody to tell you how you're a clown who doesn't understand science because you're a flat earther.
It seems to me that they're getting dumber, because I've been listening, because I've been so busy lately. I've been listening to the numpty clips over and over again. However, shout out to Chemo out there. It's like it's either all or nothing with Chemo, right? It's either he goes into hiding for 3, 4, 9 weeks, and then he'll put out a video here and a video there and one there. Now he's just jacking it up, right? There's 2 or 3 a day. I can't get to them all. So I got to save them, put them away, try to listen to some of them. I've got a bunch of new numpty. I don't even know when I'm going to be able to get to them. So I don't know whether to pat you on the back, complain, or shoot you. I'll just go right in the middle.
A very busy man. Cocaine's not going to sell itself.
That's true, man. That's true. Now, I'm not complaining. Just keep coming. I'll just have to save them and get to them when I can. It's painstaking. Listen to numpty dipshittery for like 2 or 3 hours at a time. It's you don't realize how hard it is to get these numpty clips. Because I have to suffer through it. But yeah, it's not all that bad. I guess I'll take one for the team with that. Right? But they're stupid.
It has tuned your senses, though, so you're pretty good at hearing numpty statement through the audio chaos. Often I'll trim out stuff that's mine, and there'll be a little bit, because I try and minimize it as much as possible.
Yep.
But even then, there's still going to be a certain degree of audio chaos, and you'll say, did you realize your guest said this? Did he? Yeah, he did. And then you go back and listen, and you can hear through the garble and hear what they've actually said with someone else starting to cut them off.
Yep. That's a big one, because sometimes, we've talked about this before, when you're in a hangout, as opposed to somebody listening to the show, especially live, there's some things you don't hear in the hangout. You have to be on the hangout to understand it. There's many times where I've been in the hangout, and then I've listened to the show again. I said, I didn't hear that. Right? So
that's down to your monitoring. Why do you think I've pumped an absolute shitload of money into acoustic treatment? Because the closer I can get it to crystal clear, or how it would sound in the car, or how it would translate to any other environment, is how I want it to sound when the show's going on. So I do hear all of those things. That's precisely the reason why I've done it, to get better clarity. It's all about the intelligibility of the speech that's coming out, and that's with any studio. The intelligibility is no different to trying to get a good mix if you're a mix engineer. But I need to hear what's being said for exactly those reasons, right? I want to hear every little detail.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm getting quite close to it. I'm very pleased actually with how things are turning out here. As I turned the room into a studio, it's actually can confidently say, yeah, it is. It's a studio now, which means I do get to hear those things, which is good. Anyway.
Yeah, now, this is important stuff. And flat earthers, when you're in these hangouts, right, that I'm monitoring, I know it's hard, but try to let these idiots finish their thoughts. I'm guilty of the same thing. I'll cut them off, right? But try to do your best not to, so I can get some clarity and everyone can hear the absolute abject moronacy. I just made that up. Coming out of their incoherent pie holes, man. Seriously, because sometimes I have to ditch some clips because everyone over talks, and I just have to let it go because I can't get him. I know what he's saying, but I can't confirm it, so I have to drop it. So if you do a brother a favor, man, try to hold back. Set him up.
That's part of the routine on Flat Earth Debate on a daily basis, though, isn't it? It's not necessarily that you're fighting against your opponent. Half the time you're fighting against your own side because they want to lay into them, right? They can smell the blood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the 5 or 6 people talking, yeah, it drives me absolutely crazy, man. Not only with the
trying to
numpty
get a
clip.
leg.
Say
Trying to get a
again?
leg over here.
You just trying to get a leg?
Yeah, yeah, but it's like we're in competition.
Yep.
Who's gonna get it first?
The wolf pup's got to eat, bro.
Yeah, that's right. Nah, that's copyrighted, man. It's in my wolf.
The trouble is, though, I'm sure when people are doing that and they want to get their words in and saying something, want to point it out, they picture themselves as a pack of wolves jumping on the prey. Whereas what it comes across in terms of audio is more like a pack of zombies trying to rip somebody apart. You just can't make head and tail of what's going on.
That's very true. Very true. Yep. That's what I tried. I try to limit audio chaos from listening to so many videos, and it's hard. I don't think it's done on purpose. Sometimes there's a lag, sometimes there isn't, right? And, you know, in normal conversation, when you're talking with somebody, you have the nonverbal cues that you can look at and say, hey, this person wants to reply. But on Discord or Hangouts or this YouTube thing, you don't have that. There's none of that. So when you take natural breaks in between your speech, and like Arwen does, he has natural breaks within his speech, and sometimes they're a little bit longer. Everyone wants to jump in, but he's still talking, right? Follow?
Yeah, I'm trying to train that out of them. People like Adam, well, he's got a very slow patter, and unfortunately, when you're on a show like Flat Earth Debate or this, when it opens up to the public, you got to speak fast.
You do.
Because if you don't, you're just going to get cut off.
Yes, you are, boy. It drives me crazy. But, you know, I think, like I said, there's reasons and rationale for it. Maybe I should be a little bit lighter. But it just aggravates me.
It's normally keywords, though, isn't it? There's going to be a certain, well, trigger words people are kind of listening out for. When they hear that particular trigger word, triggers them, and they want to jump in and point out where they're making the claim has used a fallacy or verified their proof or whatever it is that needs criticizing in the moment. Like you say, what you really do want to hear is the end of their complete statement. And, you know, normally they're going to repeat themselves in a circle. I've done it long enough to know that they'll go around it 5 more times.
Yeah.
But you, at least I try to on the first go around, you want to hear it all uninterrupted at least once. You know, from then on, if there's a bit of back and forth and audio chaos, at least the claim's been heard. But sometimes you don't even get that far. You know, people want to pounce on it before the claim's completed. Yeah, nah. Like you say, you don't think it's deliberate. I agree with you. Most of the time, people are just going on instinct. They're in the moment. Whereas other people realise that is very useful to have that audio chaos.
Yes.
Without mentioning any specific names, people realise that is useful when you're on the ropes.
Yes.
You can try foul, cause audio chaos, blame your opponent for the audio chaos. Great. Right away from the point you're losing.
Exactly. Some people take advantage of that. Yep. That happens all the time. I didn't mean to broad brush it, but you're right. Some people use that to their advantage, and it happens a lot. I don't know. I'm trying to divine people's motives and I'll tell you what, most of the people I listen to are batshit crazy. I mean, the past few Hangouts that I've listened to, it's like 2015 again. Baltards. Your 2015 arguments were pummeled back in 2015. You need to come up with something different, right? If we're talking about gas pressure without a container, don't immediately go to gas pressure gradients. You muppets, right? It's a red herring fallacy, right? You're talking about delta X before X. We're talking about X. You're moving to delta X. And by the way, psst, you can't have gas pressure gradients without a container either. Mr. Mount Everest, y'all want to climb up Mount Everest, right? Take your sorry asses up there and knock it off. Clowns. Unbelievable.
There's some benefits, though. There's some advantages to recycling 2015. One of which is very relevant to this show, is I mentioned earlier. A lot of the rehashed videos that I'm being suggested by YouTube come from that sort of period. And have then been rechurned a couple of years later or in the last 12 months. It's just those old rehashed arguments. It means that people will assert that we're science deniers. things of that nature, and the whole body of science proves we're on a sphere. And you're like, wicked. If you're going to recycle, at least recycle all of it so we can have a damn good laugh when they claim we're science deniers. That's, as I say, why we've got Anchor here on Ballbusters. Did you want to add something, Chocolate?
Yeah, then add to that. All they're gonna do, they're not gonna come back to the body of science. That's the problem. You recycle the brand new 2021, 2015 arguments. That doesn't work.
What's the other one?
What I'm
Well,
looking forward to. Oh, that's all right.
But
You would think after the few years the people have been in this conversation, they would have at least learned their rhetoric by now, or at least tried to learn gas law, something.
You would hope so, but as I say, what's going to go through the ringer again is going to be the physical assertion that we've got a sphere edge horizon, Earth curve, in other words. That's the most prevalent argument, and it's going to be the one that goes through the mill the most often. They've got curve calculators that they can go to and assert physical geometries getting in the way and a feet and inches value, describing how their boats go over a physical sphere edge. Well, that's going to come through the mill again. But up until now, other than pointing out on a trail of destruction of that particular calculator, it's been pulled apart left and right and demolished from within. But that in and of itself, I've got to cringe a little bit when I say it's all for nothing, because the black swan renders that completely impotent. Much as I like saying, begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking curve calculator, black swan, 10 times better. It's 100 times better. And all of the little details we learned about that calculator when we pulled it apart. It does mean that you can have a damn good debate with somebody and tell them exactly how that calculator's wrong. At the same token, you can render it useless with one statement. The horizon's not physical. The end of the calculator, because that's what the calculator's asserting. The Earth curve calculator. So like I say, all of that little journey of discovery with the Isle of Man, which is it's now left me a lot more educated about how their calculators work. Hey, you don't even have to get anywhere near it now because of the black swan, which I can't wait, like I say, for that particular. We've got a physical sphere edge for boats to fall over, and I can give you a feet and inches value for how much they're blocked by that curve they've gone over at the horizon. Like, oh yeah, have you heard about this thing called the black swan? Because obviously not.
well, and they still don't know the argument. Have you noticed?
Oh yeah, definitely not. Then they come and trying to tell us we don't understand the argument.
There's still white swans out there, Huey.
Yeah, that's right. How many months we got now? So we got January to January.
I'm almost done on mine because what I call 14 months.
14, yeah.
And we're in yeah, I'm almost almost called.
It's gonna blow right by that, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, of course.
It's going to be indefinite. The timeline is now indefinite because we've figured out why. To understand the black swan argument, I might as well repeat it. The Earth is a sphere, radius 3959, and every distance to the horizon can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Black swan image demonstrates beyond all certitude that the horizon is beyond the physical limitations of a sphere Earth. Therefore, the Earth is not a sphere. And when you understand that argument, logical consistency can only lead you to one place, which leaves us great cracking quotes, at best you've debunked the radius. Yeah, that's what the logical consistency leaves you with, the dead globe. So to understand it is to relinquish your globe belief. You can't understand it and not realize what that means. So you don't have an R value anymore, you don't have a physical horizon for boats to go over anymore, you don't have physical geometry, you don't have a tangent point. All of those things are debunked with that black swan argument. I can't wait for people to come along and say, oh yeah, don't you realise boats go over the horizon? Oh yeah, don't you realise we've debunked that with the black swan? What's the black swan? Let me inform you how dead your argument is. Died in 2020, 1st Jan.
Love it. Oh, we ready to rock?
As I keep saying, I get so many recommended videos that say that we are providing science that proves the globe, or we don't understand science as flat earthers. And nothing could be further from the truth today. I think we should rock and roll.
Yeah, I caught your primer, but I didn't wasn't ready to go yet. That was a good one, though. I liked it. I caught on to it.
Before we start, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yep.
Right. Yeah, I called it because when you were all still sizing up how long it would take, I just said, no, they're never going to get it.
I'm going to need audio confirmation of that.
You know what? I
I'm gonna
have
need-
to give props to one Glober, right? That there's a Glober on 24/7 who comes in pretty regularly, and there was a time when like somebody new came in and we were about to present him with the black swan, and this Glober actually said, "Okay, do you guys mind if I do it?" Like he wanted to be the guy to present to the other Glober the black swan.
No way.
And yeah, you probably know him, Matthew Learns.
I never heard him do
Right.
that. I know the name, but go ahead.
Yeah, he did it once. I was there, I heard it. And he actually presented the black swan pretty on point to the other Glober. Now, this guy, he understands that the black swan kills the globe, but he just chooses to believe it. So he's one of those guys he just chooses to believe it. But I had to give him props on how he presented the black swan to another Glober, and the other Glober understood what he was saying. So this guy, he understands the argument, but he also understands that all he can say is refraction, which is also a concession. He doesn't really get that, but even if he does, he just believes it anyway, willingly. So I have to give props to him just because he did understand it enough that he presented it to somebody else. So that's cool.
Cool. Yeah. But we're saying the collective, one person, one Baltard that understands it. That's not getting it. Even though that's a good start. That's the first one that I ever heard that knew it.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Well, there's a consensus that people like to live within. Stops them from having that part of their cognition play out. Now, my wife's an example of it. She knows that it is easier to get along in society forming with consensus views on a sphere, despite the fact that she can apply all of the arguments back to me. Now, that never made sense to me until about 2 days ago, when I rewatched, because I'd already watched it once, a video by Rob Ager. The channel's called Collative Learning. He did a really good video, it's about 45 minutes long, on Full Metal Jacket. His framework for pulling apart a movie or scenes, actually, brainwashing. How brainwashing works. How people who are watching a group that conforms to a certain amount of abuse won't actually moan about it so long as everyone else is enduring the same abuse. Now, that's just one aspect of the type of brainwashing that we all undergo at school, the theocentric model, as a paradigm or a religion, however you want to call it. And because of which, like my wife and like probably this guy that Chocolate's just described, does understand the argument, knows that the consensus view will not allow or tolerate him to be a flat earther. Therefore, refraction, yeah, it's a crap argument, but refraction.
Yep.
Refraction.
What it is too.
Yeah. Refraction.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the globaltion that you're talking about.
Chocolate's already said it's a concession. Chocolate sort of muttered and fading facts of, we really get it. Well, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Maybe that's the part of the cognition that he knows that the general people in trench level, at least, prepared to draw the line. Hello, we barked refraction at them 10 times, and then I laughed at them and went away and cried into a sandwich, went to sleep. But ultimately, they draw the line at refraction. It's like, no, as soon as you move a geometric location to a non-geometric location, you haven't got tangent points, you can't do geometry, the end of the globe. It's been framed so that you say refraction, you don't realize that QE actually engineered this argument so that you would say refraction to us, because it debunks model. They haven't quite gotten onto that yet after 14 months. I mean, maybe we should start overtly saying it, because I so loved the subtlety when you pointed out to me, because I fell victim. I don't mind admitting I was like, come on, QE, just show this particular image of the demarcations, the distance horizon in the form of these platforms, because it's crystal clear. It's even really pretty. It's really romantic. Look, with all the flames going up, even with all that heat distortion, it's still crystal clear. Just use that. They keep saying refraction, and QE's sort of like, yeah, I want them to. What do you mean you want them to? Well, that's the end of the globe, isn't it? It's later been dubbed the Arwinian paradox, is to say you can't move the horizon with R. Well, why do I say you can't move the horizon with R? Well, their refraction is 7/6R. That's their refraction in standard form. They might change the value, but it's still got an R. Their R, 3959, is debunked by the black swan. Got a geometric horizon, you haven't got an R value, and when you use R in refraction, you wind up with a paradox. You can't get the R if the horizon's not physical. You can't do the geometry if the horizon's in a non-physical, non-geometric location. Buries your model further, say refraction. Death nail of your model. Anyway.
Yeah, the responses to the Black Swan have been exquisite. I should say, if the best word I could come up with right now. They really have, man. I mean, refraction, apparent. See, with the funny one for me was when they started calling it, oh, that's just the apparent horizon. I remember sitting back one day like, why are they... What? The apparent, all of a sudden the horizon that we see is now, they're now dubbing it the apparent horizon? Why didn't they say that before?
Because then they were dependent on calculating R for it. And then they get into the habit of just warping it around and like, oh wait.
Yeah, but before what we saw was the geometric horizon, right? The curve of the Earth. Right, all the time, every day. That's what we argued about for years. And then all of a sudden, nah, that horizon we see, that's not the one that you guys are talking about. That's the other one that we see. So wait a minute. So now we have a horizon we don't see. Well, why would you expect to see it? You wouldn't expect to see it. As a matter of fact, you can never see it because we have an atmosphere. What?
But I remember in the beginning when we were doing this, and Brenda comes and says, "Yeah, we got more than one horizon."
Can you show us? Pointing at the water. Like this is what the Black Swan reduced you guys to, ballers, right? That you guys are pointing at the water and saying that's the horizon in the water.
Yeah, there's now chocolate. There's a new faction out there. I don't know how new it is. It's I would say relatively new, is that they don't understand that the geometric horizon is apparent itself. But besides that, here's the new one. And the really funny thing is at the end, and I'll break that out for you. What they say is that the geometric, you can't see the geometric horizon, which is a train wreck. What it does is the geometric horizon hides from you, and what it does, it projects the apparent horizon up into your vision. It's a necessary antecedent consequent game. Remember I told you, man. I introduced these terms, these concepts. And it takes a little bit, but they pick up on them, right? First, it was the modus ponens.
Independent variable, all of that.
Yeah. Now it's the logical consistency part. It's the necessary antecedent consequent. So they misapply it. It's like giving a 3-month-old a chainsaw. So they think they're cute. And they try to apply these concepts and terms out of category, which is hilarious. Thanks, guys. You baltards, I'll tell you what. You picked the wrong vocation. You freaking comedians, man. I can't tell you how many times I've sat here and pissed myself laughing.
My favorite example of that is actually on topic. I was going to bring this up as a better one than he claims the horizon is Earth curve, or we've got multiple horizons, which are all really hilarious rebuttals to Black Swan. My absolute favourite, all-tard spinning space monkeys, is Black Swan argument is a straw man. Now, I'm just going to explain that for audiences that don't necessarily get why that's so funny, right? The modus tollens argument starts with the assertion that we are on a sphere radius 3959. Starting premise for the argument, or what we have called the Black Swan, to say we're on a sphere. So if you call the argument from the outset, well, the Black Swan argument's a straw man, really. So the assertion in the first instance that the Earth's a sphere radius 3959, that's a straw man, is it? Well, welcome to Flat Earth.
Yep.
Yeah, but you should back up my claim that I'm claiming that, Nathan.
So follow on, that's perfect. Exactly. You prove that I'm claiming Earth's a sphere radius 3959.
You do it.
That's the future. That's the
It's
future.
the future. Oh my goodness.
Stage.
That's just
We've
sad.
gone past the stage where they're saying that's not what we claim. You're claiming something we don't claim. We've gone past that to prove I claim the thing that the globe claims that you've just debunked. Prove I claim.
Yeah. Two.
We're laughing
Whatever.
about it now, but at some point it's going to get really tedious, though.
Well, there's one step of stupidity beyond that. And there's only, maybe there's other examples, but the only one I can think of off the top of my head is our all-time favourite, Simon and Dan. Beyond the assertion that we should prove they make the claim, Simon and Dan took it one step further down the stupid ladder and said, you and your reference frames are ruined. So the person making the claim we have reference frames is Dan. He's misunderstood me debunking the claim that Earth has two reference frames to cause drift, and then asserted that the claim I'm not making is debunked. But it is the claim he's making. He's debunking his own claim that Earth has two reference frames by telling me my claim of reference frames, bearing in mind Flat Earth doesn't need reference frames for any argument, are debunked. That's just so far down the stupid rabbit hole, it's on comprehension for most people.
And then laughing at you about it.
No, Nathan, you misunderstand. He's disclaiming that it's your claim that it's his claim.
Give him too much credit. Too much credit, Arwin.
Probably.
Did you say he was taking one more step down the stupid ladder?
Yeah, definitely. Falling down that stupid rabbit hole as far as he can fall. The point where I do understand that Nathan's claiming Earth turns underneath to prove we've got Coriolis effect, and I'm going to damn well debunk those reference frames he's claiming Earth has to prove we're spinning. I'm going to debunk them.
Did he
I'm
Jedi
smart.
mind trick himself?
Yeah, basically Jedi. It's exactly prior to time. We can stop talking about the Jedi mind trick. Do not see the geometric horizon. Oh yeah, what are boats falling over for you to give us a feet and inches value of the hidden again?
Well, why would you expect to see that?
Why would you expect to see Earth curve? We claim blocks, boats, and buildings. Why would you expect to see?
Yeah, well,
That's
you can't go and stick a
crazy.
flag in it.
Yeah, but you should be able to. they tell us it's a physical location, right? The Horizon have an address.
Anyone will ever top Tim Osman in that regard. Tim Osman comes to the forum after not being here for a short time, and he says, nobody's claiming the horizon is Earth curve. Now come and have a look at these pictures. Air of the horizon. Title is This is Earth Curve.
He hasn't been back. I haven't heard him since.
That was his last appearance. That was the last time he came on the show.
It's the last time he came anyway. I have to admit, I don't get around as much as I usually do. But I haven't heard from him. Anyone else? Timmy Clown, where are you?
He might be a flat earther now.
No, he's not that smart.
We don't want him.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I make a future prediction for?
Uh-oh, not another one.
It's a straw man. We claim anything beyond the model.
That's too deep.
They already do that. They give us a false dichotomy. They show us how it works on your model. My model works better than your model, therefore my model's correct.
Right, but at one point they're going to overtly state it with pride.
What? No, if we're not arguing within reified models, then I'm not arguing. I'm pretty sure someone has said that. There's nothing new under the sun, Arwin.
Oh, Jesus, are we already there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we won. We won in 2020. Just Jan. Game over. Globe dead. That was when it ended. The kryptonite was found. Superman got slayed. That's what happened 1st Jan 2020. Black Swan, baby.
All right, let's listen. We've been going on for a while, man. I got to get into this or we'll never get done.
Very important that we do. Did I mention that Siri been recommending? No, go on, get on with it.
Yeah, right. Let's roll here because we're talking about natural science and the scientific method, right? Because we can go on and on about these numpties. Hey, don't forget about those numpty clips. I'm telling you, they're coming. All right, let's roll. So, for a short little review, I'll try to keep it, we'll try to go through this a little bit quicker, and I'll try not to get as upset. This presentation usually fires me up, but I'll try to curb those tendencies. Just a simple review, the scientific method, the highlighted blue forms are the indispensable steps. Not that the other steps aren't important, right? They're mainly logistical and administrative. Not that they're not important. I don't mean to not highlight them, but you can't have natural science without the 3 blue highlighted steps. You can put flowers around it. You can put a bunch of other stuff in there, but you can't take away. You can add to, but you cannot take away. You guys heard that? That's a little military saying. The biggest, one of the biggest ones is they throw this term or this phrase around flippantly, right? Peer review. Well, where's your peer review? Where's the peer review at? Peer review study. Where's the peer review? Who really cares? It doesn't have anything whatsoever to do with science and the scientific method. Peer, you already know just by the words that it's the meaning behind the words that it's subjective. When the scientific method is objective, you already know there's problems with this, right? I don't even have to go into anything more. But peer review is the antithesis of science, and the biggest reason why is the subjective-objective juxtaposition. It's the antithesis of actual science. Show the peer review step in the scientific method like I did last time. I'm going to be saying that a lot tonight. Where's the peer review step in here? The closest one you could get to is number 7. Right? Report results. That's the closest you can get to, but that's not peer review because as soon as you report the results, it ends. Bam. Before the peer review or whatever you think peer review is, baltards don't know what it is, right? We all know that. So you can bust them with this. It's real easy. So peer review. Like I said, it's the antithesis of actual science. Show the peer review step. You can't. Number 2, the biggest one, the scientific method was created to rid the landscape of bias. That is, loudest voices, ruling class, majority, that's votes and consensus, opinions, etc. Like I said, the subjective. By instituting a method solely focused on the objective, the empirical. And no, empirical doesn't mean observable. You hear a lot of baltards. I hear a lot of people saying that, especially recently. I think Timmy Clown started this nonsense about 4.5 years ago. I corrected them back then, but they don't listen. They're just, oh, but it's empirical. I've seen it. No. Empirical means observable, testable, repeatable, falsifiable. You see, that's why there are two different words, empirical and observable. It usually tells you it should be a red flag and say, well, these are two different things, right? Be careful that you don't fall into a composition fallacy because I'll bust you, right? The empirical is the goal of the scientific method. This is the summary of it. Observable, testable, repeatable, falsifiable. Okay? The spinning space monkeys mindlessly appeal to it because it's the only way to get the fairy tales into the mix, whereby bastardizing it. That's why they do. Well, is it peer-reviewed? It's not peer-reviewed. I can't look at it. It's not truthful then. It's got to be peer-reviewed, right? It's nonsense. It's weak. Like all their arguments are, pathetically weak. Number 3, Catholic priests have also been banking on their internal peer review for centuries. Baltard science, that is religion, has much in common with theirs, doesn't it? Because they got internal peer review, I'll guarantee it. Number 4, Richard Smith, MD, former editor of the British Medical Journal, has claimed that peer review is, check this out, ineffective, largely a lottery, anti-innovatory, slow, expensive, wasteful of scientific time, inefficient, easily abused, prone to bias, and unable to detect fraud and irrelevant. And this British Medical Journal, that's big time impact factor. Go look what that mean. Go look up what that means. Right? Oh, we didn't go over what peer review was. I'm sorry. That's my mistake. Peer review. So what you got, what happens is people submit their papers into publishing houses, mainly journals, right? You got Nature, Science, all the Royal Society alphabet. There's a bunch of peer-reviewed journals out there, right? And what they do is the editor or the program officer assigns subject matter experts or alleged subject matter experts. They put them in a room, and they got really bad coffee breath and a highlighter. That's all they do. And what they do is they look over the paper, right? And they just highlight things that are problematic. Now, who sets the standards on what's problematic or not? Well, the program officer or the editor does, right? That's what peer review is. It's not sending it to your friends. The peer reviewers or the referees aren't reproducing the experiment, right? You clowns. You Dunning-Kruger clowns. That's not what we're talking about here. That's not peer review. Right? What I just told you was peer review, right? And they send it back for you to make any corrections. And if you make the corrections and you follow step by step what they tell you to do, then you'll get published in their journal. That's how it is. That's how it works. All right? Everyone got that? Check this out. I really enjoy this. From Goodstein, Conduct and Misconduct in Science, Caltech. Let's check this out. Excuse me. Editors of scientific journals and program officers at the funding agencies have the most to gain from peer review, and they steadfastly refuse to believe that anything might be wrong with the system. Their jobs are made easier because they have never had to take responsibility for decisions. They are also never called to account for their choice of referees, who in any case always have the proper credentials. Since the referees perform a professional service almost always without pay, the primary responsibility of the editor or program officer is to protect the referee. Thus, referees are never called to account for what they write in their reviews. As a result, referees are able, with relative impunity, to delay or deny funding or publication to their rivals. When misconduct of this kind occurs, it is the referee who is guilty, but it is the editors and program officers who are responsible for propagating a corrupt system that makes misconduct almost inevitable. This kind of misconduct, that is, I fear, rampant in all fields of science, not only biomedical science. Recently, as part of a talk to a large audience of mostly young researchers at an extremely prestigious university, I outlined this analysis of the crisis of peer review. The moderator, a famous senior scientist, was incredulous. He asked the audience how many disagreed with my heresy. No one responded. Then he asked how many agreed. Every hand in the house went up. Right? Because everyone knows who can fog a mirror. You don't have to be a researcher to figure this one out. Doesn't take a rocket scientist, just launch pad security, that there's a problem here. I love it. Good one on you, Goodstein, for bringing that up. Number 6, Courtney A. and her husband. I haven't gone back and seen what the husband's name was either, but I digress. Harvard graduates had this to say on the nature of science, physics in Canada. The author describes the three-legged stool of scientific error correction as experimental care, reproducible experiment, and peer review. Like Occam's razor, peer review is a temporal expedient for judging scientific work at any given time. Peer review serves the temporal interest of the publishers, funding agencies, and employers. Now, we've heard this next statement before. Not from Courtney either. The ultimate arbiter of scientific validity is repeatable experiment alone. That's it. That's what we're talking about here. The only aspect that should be expertly reviewed should be whether or not the researchers followed the scientific method. That's a novel idea, isn't it? It's science, has to follow the scientific method. Yeah, kind of makes sense. It should be positioned right above the abstract, but it's not. This should be positioned right above the abstract. Now, if you want to leave out the administrative and logistical steps, lit, review, analyze data, validate, invalidate hypothesis, report results. If you want to leave that out, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. You can put it in an annex somewhere at the bottom or something. But those blue highlighted ones, they should be right up front and center and highlighted and dealt with specifically. Because if they're not listed or are incoherent, then hasta la vista, baby. That's how we clean this mess up. But they ain't going to do that. Why? Of course, then NCBI database and Google Scholar will have like 3 or 4 studies in it combined. Astronomy, astrophysics, and cosmology, and theoretical physics will take their rightful place at the bottom of the sci-fi section. Paleontology, archaeology, anthropology, geology will take their rightful place beside photography and Bag of Hammers observations with the accompanying pontiff declarations. And evolution, whatever that is, and yes, I'm still laughing, will take its rightful place in religious studies, myths, and fairy tales, just below Humpty Dumpty. Will people lose their jobs? Yep. But hey, we still need people to pick up trash. A study done by Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania, Professor J. Scott Armstrong, 2017. Fewer than 1% of papers in scientific journals follow the scientific method. Well, he's just telling you what you can do yourself. There's no big mystery here. This is not a big secret, right? Just pull up NCBI database. If you have nothing to do, take a whole day, right? Take a whole week. Take a whole week off. This is real fun. I've done this for a couple semesters at university. We'll get to that here in a second. Do it yourself, right? Pull up at random studies and then type in keyword or keyword search, hypothesis, experiment, independent, dependent variable, and just watch it fly by. You won't find any because they don't follow the scientific method, but they're in scientific journals, right? Like I said before, I can remember the day when I went into my main program, right? Got the schedule, right? Had the list of classes, times, all the pedigree information. And then I seen down there, evaluating research I can see it in my mind's eye right now. And doing one of those, what do I need? Why do I have to do this? Right? I got bigger fish to fry. Why can't there be recess in here, right? Because I'm busy. I got stuff to do. I got to get it done. This is going to be, number one, a waste of my time and boring. However, as it turns out, it was the funnest class I ever had. I can remember laughing out loud every single day. We had a blast. I was wondering when the pizzas were going to start getting ordered and bringing them in. I mean, this was a clown show. Right? And yes, I did. I had to back up the Brinks truck to get this. And this is one of the classes that I said, after I was done taking it, I knew the significance of this class and how it was going to help me. Right? Because it proved invaluable, not only professionally, but it proves invaluable now. Because I could just go to research studies. It's like second nature to me. Because we've done it over and over and over and over again, right? I know exactly what to look for and where to go. Now, if you don't have one of those classes, you look at these things, they're like, most are War and Peace novels, right? You'll start falling asleep at the abstract, right? If you don't know what you're looking for, it's very difficult to look through a scientific study, especially if that's not your discipline. You're not familiar with the vocabulary. It all boils down to the scientific, like I said. Whenever you're confronted or concerned, always run home to mama, the scientific method. In this specific case, you need to know what you're looking for. So, and what we did in this class, I'm telling you, we didn't review the Class B journals. We were doing the most prestigious journals in the world: Nature, Science, Royal Society, Alphabet, right? We were into those. And we were laughing, and we were sitting there, how in the world did this get past the peer reviewers? I'm telling you, it was a joke. I don't know what to say about this, man. If you don't believe Professor J. Scott Armstrong, this is what you do. You pull up NCBI database or Google Scholar or whatever database you want. Pull it up, start pulling up studies, right? And then keyword search, like I said, hypothesis, experiment, independent, dependent variable, and there you just mark down, check. Nope, that doesn't have it. Nope, you'll just be there checking away because they ain't gonna have it, right? So you can easily confirm Professor J. Scott Armstrong's results here. It's no problem. It's a lot of fun. Cool. Let's stop right there. Comments, question?
I like how the scientific method is mama. Run home to mama. Scientific method. Got some warm cookies and milk.
It'll never treat you wrong.
I just hope the Globers actually listen to what peer review is, because I'm very certain they have no idea, even after listening to this.
Got an analogy, but don't know how to phrase it without causing offence. Probably you first instance, probably a fair chunk of it. I'll just do it and hopefully you'll nudge me in the right direction. So how many years ago were we under church where what they said the heavens were and lived in? Well, imagine being in that time, being the person that looks across to the other person and says, you know what? Despite them saying that they've gone through all of these review processes, what they've assessed in the next, isn't necessarily the world we live in. There'll be different way of looking at it compared to, and I'm going to be specific here, what they've said, they've interpreted the words to me, therefore passed down to the people because it's their interpretation of the example. Well, the same comparison true now, because those people who portray the way the world is supposed to be are telling you what the heavens are, telling you with just so stories and peer reviews. people, scholars, talking amongst themselves about philosophy, then disseminating that philosophy to the general public, not as a philosophy, but as an actual world we live in. That's down to corrupt system of peer review. Now, the process in itself, you can say, well, that's fairly benign, until it's held up in authority. Right at the beginning of this presentation, Huey was detailing how people literally go to the extent of saying, unless it's been peer reviewed, I'm not interested. That's the power it now has. Part of the institutionalization that we all live under, part of its power. What they say goes, and what they have as science, inverted commas, is going to be coming down from the scientists, not from the scientific method. That's the whole point.
That wasn't that bad. That was good. Oh, sorry, I was talking into the mic. Come on, mute. We ready to move?
Adam, you there? What's up, Adam?
Is Adam here? Let's see in my
Yeah, he's
Discord.
here.
Adam, radio check. Adam.
No
Well, we
mic
can
feed.
think of him as here.
Yeah, he went on deaf and mute. He might want to drop out and come back in again. Is he going to try it? Go ahead, Adam. We'll wait for you. Adam, we got nothing from you, sir. Drop out and come back in. We'll wait as long as it takes.
God, Adam, bloody hell, you're ruining everything.
It's his mic.
He's
It's
just spending time in space, guys. Give him a break.
Yeah.
Shout out to Rams and Travis Clark too. Cut.
Yeah, we'll get to those guys. Adam, he it looks like he may have given up. Okay, not a problem, Adam. The door is always open. We understand the mic problem issues. All right.
He
One.
had to restart the computer.
Yeah, he might have. Yep. So we'll continue on. Everyone cool with that?
100%.
All right. So we're on to the typical baller parrots. We've all heard these before, right? Science.
Hello. Hello.
So, brother,
Coming
Is that Ballbusters?
No problem, Adam. You're not interrupting anything. You're good.
Good. That's fine then. I'll make my apologies. Apologies. After this weekend, the temporal time distortion will have rectified. And my tea won't be so late. So,
Yes, sir.
apologies, guys.
No, you're good. You're good, man. Welcome aboard.
Hang on. I caught the bit there. And I think we discussed it midweek, John, didn't we, in terms of peer review? And I'll admit it again, you know. I think from my point of view, it had validity and misunderstanding of what was going off in peer review. I think I took my understanding from primary school by the looks of it. But yeah, I think the learning I got from much out in midweek is that, frankly, it's not worth the paper it's written on, is it? A peer review.
Was that it?
Yeah, I'm done now. I thought I'd be succinct.
Jeez, you come crashing in here. I took a big bite of banana, man. I thought this was going to go on for a couple.
He's gonna go off for ages. Like, no, well, well, no, I can a bit more while she clear your chops. I'll just reiterate the point. To me, and I've looked at stuff professionally in the past, it had a validity, and that's before looking into what it actually meant. There was assumption there. I think realistically, I always kind of assumed that anything to make it, the point of the peer review was for people to repeat it. And I think that was my misunderstanding, that part of the peer review process involved actually doing the repeatable bit of any experiment. It still kind of seems to make sense to me that a peer review should involve you taking everything and replicating it. You then validate it independently and it would add strength, but I don't know what that would be called. Certainly not a peer review from my learning this week. I'm done.
Oh, that's not going to cut it, man. I did finish a banana. Did you say clear your chops?
Clear your chops, yeah.
Yes, you did. That was dope.
Yeah, all right. I cleared my chops. All right, we're good to go. We're definitely right. Well, listen, you didn't interrupt too much. We were right at the beginning of the typical baller parrots, right? We all know them. We all love them. We can't wait to hear them later on today. There's 3 of them. Science never proves things. Science is self-correcting, and science is always changing. Why don't you make like a rap? Get friggin' chocolate to help you with the rap with these things, man. Because it's a rap after you say them. Clowns. Why do they say these? That is mindlessly, these belly-laughing fallacious train wrecks. Why do they do that? Well, they need flexibility when their previous just-so stories that were being peddled as science get pummeled. That's why they say these things. They can just pivot and say, see, science correcting itself. There you go. That's why. That's how it does it. Right? It's a joke. Science never proved things. Like I said, all 3 are reification fallacies. Science is inanimate. It's not going to do those things. They're anthropomorphizing science. Right? It's a train wreck, right? From the beginning, science, like I said, science isn't an entity. It doesn't take action or have volition. It's a method for goodness sakes. Right? It's a simple method, too. Very simple. And you say science doesn't prove things, and then another aspect comes to the fore where you're not even parroting what your pseudoscience priests tell you. You just make it up, right? Whatever makes it good within the context of what you're arguing at this moment. Not that it has any logical consistency down the road. You could just go against it in your next argument. Yeah, we've caught on to that little maneuver, and we're busting you out. So, science doesn't prove things. From Lumen Learning, Biology for Majors, forming a hypothesis. When conducting scientific experiments, researchers develop hypotheses to guide experimental design. A hypothesis is a suggested explanation that is both testable and falsifiable. You must be able to test your hypothesis, and it must be possible to, what? Prove your hypothesis true or false? Prove? Why are they saying prove? You need to contact these guys. You've done it before, right? And say, hey, listen, you're going to have to change this because this doesn't conform to our religion. Clowns. And then they bust you out with this. This is genome research talking about peer-reviewed. Hey? How many times you see prove or disprove in this simple paragraph? Students are taught that the proper way to do science is through the following steps. First, devise a hypothesis and then design experiments that will what? Prove or disprove their theory. Right? They should have said hypothesis, but we'll cut them some slack. Prove or disprove. Prove or disprove. Experimental proof. In fact, in most published papers, this is incorrect, by the way, this is the way it should be. In fact, in most published papers, the hypothesis is put forth, followed by the experimental proof, and ending with a restatement of the veracity of the theory and potential future steps. This is how it should be. But you're going to find that it's not, just like I told you before. Let your fingers do the walking through those databases. You're not going to find this word. You're not going to... You might find this word, but it'll be a phantom. Experiment, experimental proof. In the materials and methods section, you might find it, but it'll just be empty jabber. They won't give anything for it. That's when you do find it. Most of the time, it's not even in the study. From Anne-Marie Helmstein, PhD Biomedical Sciences. Remember, science doesn't prove anything. A hypothesis is a tentative answer to a scientific question. A testable hypothesis is a hypothesis that can be what? Proved or disproved. But the spinning space monkey says that science doesn't prove anything. Why? Anne-Marie Helmstein, I don't know. You're in timeout. That's right. They're going to put you in timeout until they can talk to you and have you change your little story here. A hypothesis can be proved or disproved as a result of testing, data collection, or experience. Only testable hypotheses can be used to conceive and perform an experiment using the scientific method. Of course. Requirements for a testable hypothesis. In order to be considered testable, 2 criteria must be met. It must be possible to what? Prove, there's that word again, that the hypothesis is true. It must be possible to prove that the hypothesis is false. It must be possible to reproduce the results of the hypothesis. Yep. Well, Anne-Marie Helmstein, you're in the doghouse. They're going to throw you under the bus. You don't start changing your tune here. Tell you that much. Krista McClellan, Nature of Science and the Scientific Method, definition of experiment. Once the hypothesis has been established, it is time to test this. Test it. The process of experimentation is what sets science apart from other disciplines. We've heard that before, haven't we? Right? From Professor Wolf's up there at the University of Rochester. But I digress. And it leads to discoveries every day. An experiment is designed to what? There it is again. Prove or disprove the hypothesis. Baltards, you got your work cut out for you contacting these people and getting them to change their tune. If your prediction is correct, you will not be able to reject the hypothesis. And finally, I love this. From Dr. Craig Venter, Celera Genomics and the National Institute of Health. And he was on this panel. I would suggest to review this Arizona State Origins projects. There's a number of gems in this little fiasco. Authored by Dr. Craig Venter, putting everyone and the numerous Nobel Prize winners on the panel, putting them in their place because he could do it. Right? He's not a pretender clown, although he is an evolutionist, whatever that is. When he talks, he's like E.F. Hutton. When he talks, people listen. Let's listen to what the geneticist of geneticists has to say on this topic. Remember, science doesn't prove anything, Dr. Craig Venter. From Dr. Venter, you know, there's some things in science some things we can do in science in terms of proving certain things in life we discover. Oh boy, the tangled webs you weave, right? I'd like to see the correspondence when you contact all these people and their organizations. Could you provide the email or the tape phone conversation? I'd like to listen in on that. Clowns. Another one. Proof? What's proof? Proof? I have evidence. I don't have proof. What? You just making stuff up, aren't you? Right? You don't know what it means. You never looked it up. Right? If you do look it up, evidence and proof, this is what you're going to find. Merriam-Webster, evidence, an outward sign indication, something that furnishes proof. It's right in the definition of evidence. How about if we flip it and look at the definition of proof? From Oxford Dictionaries, proof, evidence, right out the gate. First word right out the gate. Evidence. Or argument establishing a fact or truth of a statement. Duh. Proof is evidence. Evidence is proof. If you have evidence and it's not proof, then it was not evidence to begin with. Got it? My word. From Collins Dictionary, proof to test by experiment. Oh, boy. Proof synonyms, confirmation, evidence, and validation. Right? So, from Professor Wolf's up there at University of Rochester, physics labs, a scientific theory represents a hypothesis or group of related hypotheses which has been confirmed through repeated experimental tests. Confirmation is proof. From your alma mater wiki, an experiment is a procedure carried out to support, refute, or validate a hypothesis. That's proof. Prove a hypothesis. Ergo, experiments prove or disprove hypotheses, right? I know, frigging profound, right? But remember, I always said these are just citations, even though they are all lining up with each other. They're just baseless assertions. So there must be a conspiracy among actual scientists, right? Must be a conspiracy, but that's okay. Here comes the cowbell. You ready? Scientists using the scientific method have proven, right? Have validated, have confirmed. Water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Celsius at sea level. That's 1 atmosphere of pressure. That's 101 kilopascals or 14.7 psi. Combustion is the result of oxidation reactions. Inflammation is only caused by intelligent agency. The lack of insulin with type 1 diabetes patients results in ketoacidosis. The lack of vitamin C intake in humans results in scurvy. Knowledge or the existence of the witch path information collapses the wave function. The rapid motion and collisions of molecules with the walls of the container causes gas pressure. Magnetism is caused by the motion of electric charge. The Coriolis force is caused by two differing frames of reference, one rotating coordinate system, that's non-inertial, and one non-rotating coordinate system, inertial. Gluconeogenesis results in the production of glucose from specific non-carbohydrate precursors, right? These are absolutely true, proven, inviolable, never to be falsified. And they're just 10. I could go on for months, right? So you're busted. You're busted, you're out there flapping. You can't recover. Please say out loud science doesn't prove things. And flat earthers, just take them to the woodshed. Science is self-correcting. The poster child, undisputed champion of the world of this one, evolution. I just picked one travesty out of all of them, punctuated equilibrium. It's the poster child. It's brought to you by Stephen Jay Gould and Dr. Niles Eldredge. There's Dr. Niles Eldredge. Let's see what he has to say here. Curator of invertebrate paleontology at the American Museum of Natural History. Darwin's prediction, he didn't have a prediction, but they call it a prediction, but I digress. Darwin's prediction of rampant, albeit gradual, change affecting all lineages through time is refuted. The record is there, and the record speaks for tremendous anatomical conservatism. Change in the manner Darwin expected is just not found in the fossil record. So, once they figured that out off his abject speculation, they conjured punctuated equilibrium, the no change hypothesis. But I said punctuated equilibrium, the hypothesis, it's not a hypothesis either. Ask them for the independent or dependent variable, they're not going to give it to you. It's not a hypothesis, but I digress. The hypothesis that evolutionary, whatever that is, and yes, I'm still laughing, development is marked by isolated episodes of rapid speciation, that's a man-made convention, by the way, between long periods of little or no change. That's why I call it no change. So what is it, right? This is called an ad hoc hypothesis. What's an ad hoc hypothesis? An ad hoc hypothesis is one created to explain away facts that seem to refute one's belief or theory. In this case, it's a belief with evolution fairy tale. Ad hoc hypotheses are common in paranormal research and in the work of pseudoscientists. Yep, guess who the pseudoscientists in this specific case are? Here they are right here. Stephen Jay Gould and Dr. Niles Eldredge. There they are for you. I highlight them. This is a textbook example of ad hoc hypothesis. Not even a hypothesis, by the way. We already went over that. From their alma mater wiki. An ad hoc hypothesis is a hypothesis added to a theory in order to save it from being falsified. That's right. That's what fairy tale evolution, whatever that is, and yes, I'm still laughing. Any time any of their speculations are laughed at, then it shapeshifts. That's what I call it. It's a shapeshifter. Ad hoc hypothesis shapeshifter. It bends and weaves to anything that comes at it. That's why they don't define it, right? They just start coming out with proofs of it, right? Without defining. How can you come out with proofs for something without defining the damn thing? I'll tell you why. So that anything you come up with is proof. That's why. Little trick. Little incoherent second grader trick, right? Clowns. Science is always changing. Really? Let's go through these again. Let's see if these have changed. You ready? Water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit at sea level, 1 atmosphere of pressure, 101 kilopascals, or 14.7 psi. Combustion is a result of oxidation reactions. Information is only caused by intelligent agency. Lack of insulin with type 1 diabetes results in diabetic ketoacidosis. Lack of vitamin C intake in humans results in scurvy. Knowledge of the existence of the witch path information collapses the wave function. The rapid motion and collisions of molecules with the walls of the container causes pressure. Magnetism is caused by the motion of electric charge. The Coriolis force is caused by two different frames of reference, one rotating coordinate system non-inertial and one non-rotating coordinate system inertial. Gluconeogenesis results in the production of glucose from specific non-carbohydrate precursors. So all these have changed. Really? I'd like to see that. Let's go start providing the citations and the studies that these have changed since they were established. What you going to find? A big fat zero. Nothing changed. Only pseudoscience changes. Just so stories change when they get their ass handed to them. That's how it changes. Like I just said here. They were never scientifically validated to begin with. Their stories, that's why they can change. That's why they shapeshift. You'll see a number of them. I gave you evolution as the prime example, but there's a number of them. Dark matter, bring up any of them. Gravity. Joke. Get the theory. Colloquial use of theory. Like I said before, there's a difference between scientific theory and when people just use it colloquially, like theory, like if I go talk to my neighbor. That's the example I used before. You know, on his brake pads, why his brake pads are squeaking, right? Or anything. It could be any arbitrary thing, right? People will say, well, my theory is, right? Well, they're talking colloquially. Everyone knows that, right? That's not a scientific theory. A scientific theory is hyper-specific. It's got deliberate attributes and characteristics that make it a scientific theory. Now, I'm not going to go over to my neighbor and he says theory. I'm not going to bust on him, right? Well, that's not what a scientific theory is. Let's see your citation. No, because I already know the context, right? He's just speculating. That's different from this. Let's listen to what a scientific theory is and point out the speculation to me here. Anybody? Ready? From Chemistry About, scientific theory summarizes a hypothesis or group of hypotheses that have been supported with repeated testing. From Quarks to Quasars, a scientific theory consists of one or more hypotheses or hypotheses that have been supported with repeated testing. From the University of Rochester Physics Labs, Professor Wolf's, a scientific theory represents a hypothesis or group of related hypotheses which has been confirmed through repeated experimental tests. From Scientific American, a scientific theory is an explanation of some aspect of the natural world that has been substantiated through repeated experiments or testing. They're all saying the same thing, aren't they? Yeah, because that's what a scientific theory is. You can't have an actual scientific theory without it already being validated or confirmed by experiment. That means the hypothesis was tested. It doesn't come first. You don't have a scientific theory and then go to falsify it. No. That's ass backwards. You don't do that. The result of the scientific method is a scientific theory. A successful one, with alternative hypotheses being validated. That's the whole goal of the scientific method. And you can't have math or equations for a flippin' scientific theory. You're in a category error. Logic in the scientific method, like I said. I've been hearing lately, not from your average rank and file baller. Maybe a couple times from your average rank and file baller because they don't know what they're talking about. They probably heard it, on one of their videos, one of the History Channel that they bring these things up about the logic used in the scientific method. And they always say, it's induction. They don't even know what logic is, let alone the scientific method. The scientific method, just look at the scientific method. There's nothing whatsoever to do with induction. If you knew what induction was, you can look at it and it'd take you 3 seconds to say no, it has nothing to do with it. Let's go through it. The scientific method is conducting using 2 and only 2 forms of logic, abductive and deductive, as evidenced by. Baltards, you need to learn this phrase and make it one of your mantras. After every single claim that comes out of your incoherent pie hole, immediately after it should be as evidenced by. As evidenced by. Yeah, you get that? I'm going to hold you to it. Yep, here comes the cowbell. So, abductive reasoning. A number of facts from a multitude of sources such as literature reviews and general observations, where have we heard those two before, are gathered together. After an assessment of this information, the most likely hypothesis. Oh, we got 3 of them. Observation, literature review, and hypothesis. We've never heard those 3 before, have we? The most likely hypothesis to explain the observation is adopted as the starting point of research. Abduction is seen very much as the starting point of the research process, giving a rational explanation allowing deductive reasoning to dictate the exact experimental design. Where have we heard that? We got literature. First we got literature reviews, observations, hypothesis, and then experiment. So abductive reasoning is employed to establish observations, literature reviews, and hypothesis, and deductive reasoning takes us home to experiment. So abductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. Wonder where we've seen observation, literature reviews, hypothesis, and experiment before. Aren't they right in the first 4 steps of the scientific method that I've been telling you since the beginning? 5 years ago when I first come on here, I was telling you this, right? Now, I highlighted literature review. I usually don't. I usually do, because that's an administrative step, but they put it in here. It's important. We won't get into that, right? But that's where they are, right there. Boom. That's a real boom. That's boom with cowbell behind it. See, follow? Abduction, no conclusions are drawn with abduction. Observing phenomena, literature reviews, educated guesses, that's hypothesis construction. Deduction is general to specific. It leads to certainty. That is experiment. All A or B and all C or A, therefore C must be B. Versus induction is specific to general, leads to what? Probability and likelihood. Has nothing to do with the scientific method. Scientific method deals with cause and effect. No likelihood. Either yes or no. Black or white. 1 or a 0. Probability or likelihood. Most A or B, and this C is A. And this C is A, therefore this C is likely B. Nothing to do with the scientific method at all. 0. From Lumen Learning, the difference between abductive reasoning and inductive reasoning, this is very important, is a subtle one. Both use evidence to form guesses that are likely but not guaranteed to be true. Very important word here. However, abductive reasoning looks for what? Cause and effect relationships. That's the delineator. Abductive reasoning looks for cause and effect relationships, whilst induction seeks to determine general rules. Right? See the juxtaposition? Right? Cause and effect, where have we heard that before? From Lowell C, Strategic Thinking for Scientific Discovery, Becoming a Successful Scientist, Cambridge University Press. A scientific hypothesis is based on what? Cause and effect reasoning. That's abductive reasoning. We just went over that, right? Abductive, cause and effect. See it? See the connection? A scientific hypothesis does not merely state X and Y may be related, but explains why they are related. From Drexel University, the scientific method is hypothesis-driven. One makes an educated guess to explain a what? Cause and effect relationship. That's abductive reasoning. Back to Anne-Marie Helbestein, who's in timeout in the doghouse with the Balltards. A hypothesis is an educated guess based on observation. It's a prediction of cause and effect. Abduction again. And if you say, well, we don't need hypotheses, you're cornered, you're checkmated. Even from the pseudoscientist Sean Carroll, who can talk the talk but not walk the walk. From Nature.com, California Institute of Technology physicist Sean Carroll arguing in The Edge that hypotheses aren't simply useful tools in some potentially outmoded vision of science. They're the whole point. The whole point. The whole point is abductive reasoning for hypotheses, is what he's telling you. So abductive, that is cause and effect or causation, that's hypothesis construction. Deductive is experimentation. All this is science. This is what the scientific method uses. And only uses, like I've just demonstrated, as opposed to, guess what? Inductive, correlation, probability, or likelihood. Well, correlation doesn't equal causation, and causation is the sole proprietor of the scientific method. This is all pseudoscience. Everything from induction is pseudoscience. Right? You want me to drive the stake in? Let me go ahead and do that and drive that stake in. I love this part. And finally, from the King Cheese, philosopher of science, there he is, Karl Popper. Take a good look. You get a lot of balltards talking about Popper. Of course, they never wrote or read anything that Karl Popper wrote. Never. You know right away. As soon as I hear Popper, it's a trigger word. Right? I'm immediately 100% of my attention. Laser fucking got the tractor beam. Right? Because they're going to screw this up. They always do. What did he have to say about induction? Let's see. From Karl Popper, Conjectures and Refutations from 1963 via Wiki. As mentioned in this section, the problem of induction. Induction has a problem? I digress. As mentioned in this section, the problem of induction. Popper's response to the problem of induction is simply that induction is actually never used in science. Yep. And you'll get balltards telling you that induction, that's the only thing used in science. Danny, Mr. Astronomer, Danny over there, has said this. We have him on tape saying that science only uses induction. Yep. Astronomer Royale down there in South Carolina. Yep, he came on 24/7. Science only uses induction. What shrooms is he smoking? Where'd he get that from? Well, he's either lying or he made it up. Of course, I wasn't there. I would have asked him to put it into practice. Show a inductive hypothesis. He'd have better chances resurrecting Alexander the Great's horse. Clown. Again, Karl Popper from Conjectures and Refutations, 1963. That was a great year, by the way. Via Wiki, Karl Popper, a philosopher of science, sought to solve the problem of induction. Again, with the problem of induction. He argued that science does not use induction, and induction is in fact a myth. Wow, dude. Way to hammer him. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, you'll hear balltards telling you that all it is induction. They just make stuff up. Say it around me one time. I triple dog dare you. Here's one game the pseudoscience priests are playing. I'll give you this is how it goes. Example, observe a phenomena. Sailors appear crippled, bleeding gums, tooth loss, and have poor wound healing after long sea journeys. Essentially, that's scurvy, but I just placed a name on it. Doesn't have to be that back then. Let's just say we haven't named it yet. Plausible causes, right? I just went off the cuff right here. Just spitballed. Prolonged exposure to seawater, inhalation of aerosol seagull droppings, prolonged exposure to swabbing the deck cleaning solution, prolonged rolling and pitching of the ship, poor air quality, especially below deck, caused by smoke and candles, yada, yada, yada. How about what we don't know? Right? These are all potential independent variables, right? So what are we going to do? What do we do with this? Right? What did they do with it? Well, did they pull a bevy of current scientists, quote unquote, and roll with what most think it is? And then call it science? Or B, do we test every possible cause, read independent variable, and validate the effect that is the dependent variable? Your prediction, science. How about that? How about we try that? Today's science, which is religion, that is paleontology, anthropology, archaeology, geology, evolutionary biology, whatever that is, and yes, I'm still laughing, theoretical physics, non-experimental, astrophysics, astronomy, and cosmology. They roll with the poll. They go with A because they are unable to validate or confirm anything by experiment. And then they still call it science, right? Then they say, what's the problem? What's the problem with that? We got the ivory towers. We got science embroidered and glossed over the friggin' walls that you walk under or the gateway you walk under. So science must be, right? What's the problem? Since transistors work, therefore spinning balls, multiverses, dark matter, evolution, big bangs, billions of years, ad nauseum are scientific facts. Right? See the game? Wake up! This is a call to wake up! Wake the hell up! Comments, questions?
Know what the war cry could be other than wake up, because we're all taught this at a really early age. We're all taught what science was. Immediately duped in the next classroom over.
Pretty straightforward.
I don't really. The whole inductive, it just seems like nonsense. Seems like a soft, funky, soft version of abductive, like first step. How do you even get anywhere with just inductive reasoning? I don't.
You don't, Chop.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's not to say, because I wanted to defend it a little bit, in that I'd stick induction, you see.
Where the sun doesn't shine?
No. In terms of literature review, John, it's about the only place I'd use it, because I think I said in the midweek, it's certainly not a place you can progress to experiment from. Okay. But it could give you some ideas for your abductive reasoning with correlations. So like I said, when we talked about boiling water, and just so happened, there's this correlation that some bloke reckons stuff boils at a lower temperature at different altitudes. Now, that you would then take into and include and exclude all of that information for your boiling water experiment. But it might not have been part of your initial setup, but there was this random fact, this random correlation that in of itself is useless. But when it's empowered by, I say, the genius of a scientist or the human genius to use abductive reasoning, there's no real links between it, but the mind allows that. That can take that abductive reasoning, yeah, and then use all of that literature review to build a inductive an experiment that that proves these points and rules them out. All of these requiring 4, 5, 6 different experiments to get to just that boiling water thing because of that little bit of inductive. For some bloke, you know what I mean, claim that bit. It can lead to, but it requires abduction or abductive reasoning to empower it in any way, because in of itself it doesn't, it certainly has no cause and effect, and it's only correlative down to the point that it could be uselessly correlative to say that we've got some reasoning that when the cockerel crows the sun comes up. It could be that useless a correlation. I wouldn't poo-poo it totally.
When you said, I went on mute after I finished, and I was sitting here, and when you said, do you know where I'd stick it? I couldn't. I was falling over myself trying to get the mute button off.
I think I said I'd stick it at the bottom of the triangle.
No, you said, no. You said, you know where you stick it? And there was a pause. I'm like, God, let me get there.
Yeah. And I say it's not to be, but as Chocolate says, it's in of itself, it's pretty useless, isn't it? And I think the point I refer to is to someone, I'm not sure who it was, that you quoted saying that's what science uses. That's the thing I'd object to strongly. You can't use it. Like I say, you can't progress to experiment from inductive.
It was say that. How can you have an inductive? What's an inductive experiment?
Hold on. It was Professor Danny Faulkner. Now, he's not the only one that said it, right? But he was the most, I would say, highest ranking one that I've heard say it. I've heard a couple other numpties say it on different venues, but Danny Faulkner said that to Miggy one day. I wasn't there. He's lucky. I would have got medieval on him. But go ahead. Or not.
Can you have an inductive experiment?
Is this the same Danny Faulkner that doesn't understand gas pressure?
Yes, same one.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
It's the same Danny Faulkner that started Hillbilly Blue Balls, the redneck retard.
Yes, same one. Yes, same one. Yeah, you can't have an inductive experiment. Like I said, induction leads to probability or likelihood when hypotheses and experiments, they deal exclusively with deductive, that is, how and why cause and effect relationship. It's either yes or no, 1 or a 0, black or white, not likelihood. It's a category error. Simple.
I get it. It seems useless altogether.
Yeah, it's useless. You just got numpties. You know why? I'm going to tell you why, Chuck.
Inductive, right? And then you've already... Go ahead.
Yeah, let me clear it up for you. Let me just tell you what the problem is here. Numpty dipshits don't know the difference between the terms inference and induction. They get confused. That's the problem here. See, there's 3 types of inferences. Abduction, deduction, and what? Induction. But as soon as I've just snickered to myself because they're numpty pretender clown Dunning-Kruger dipshits. They think as soon as they say, well, I just had an inference. You did. Are you thinking induction? Check it out, man. I'm just telling you, just listen real close. They'll confuse induction with inference. Even though induction is an inference, they think it's a blanket.
I was just going to say.
Yeah. Hopefully everyone follows me with that.
I got you.
I think I've said this on previous Ballbusters, but it's the derivation of the words is great for me. To abduct something, like I say, that's why I call it part of the genius, because it's you take it from somewhere, but it's not necessarily from the logic. When you look at inductive reasoning, the word is to induce, isn't it? To make it happen. It's not coming from anything else. Yeah, that's the word. You induce that supposed cause, even if you're doing that. That's why it's qualified with correlation. That's what you're doing. You're trying to induce a cause.
Yep.
Right.
No, you're trying to induce a correlation, even though correlations just happen. Like you said, the cockerel in the sun is the best example of this, of correlations. All your statistical studies are correlation studies. So they're not science. It kicks them out right there. Right?
Yeah, I mean, you can still have a bias and still get a result based on your bias.
You can correlate anything to any other thing, man. Just look up, just go correlation studies, right? And you can, it gets ridiculous. You know, like people who eat orange peels are more likely to have toe warts. And you could do a study, you could do a correlation study. Right? It's ridiculous.
I've got one for you, John. To prove gravity, you could pretend that something that you look at in the sky is a collapsing black hole. You can pretend the distance to it, pretend how long you think it'll come to you, and then look at a LIGO meter and deduce that there are things such as gravitational waves. Or induce, I should probably say. Yeah, that's worse than the cockerel, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That's worse.
Let's try it. I'll put ridiculous correlation studies. I should have did this beforehand. I wasn't ready. Ice cream consumption leads to murder. A pirate shortage is caused by global warming. Living in a poor country. Oh, I'm not going to say that one. Eating organic food causes autism. Using Internet Explorer leads to murder. That's not. Mexican lemon imports prevent highway deaths. It could go.
I want that explaining. What's the Mexican lemon?
The ice cream one's awesome.
That's just the tip of the iceberg, folks.
Yeah, now that I see it like that, like inducting, you're inducing, you're just bringing about a correlation, but you're not getting it from outside of you, right? You're just creating it instead of actually looking outside with observation, forming hypothesis, and then using that and deductive reasoning to formulate your experiment.
Abductive's the spark of genius, Chuck. Right. So to me, I know Huey mentioned literature review. I think that's really important because you can observe all you want, right? If your only understanding is the reason the sun comes up is the cockerel crows, yeah. If you've not got that literature review, and all of those different bits and pockets of knowledge, yeah, then the abductive can't come in. Right? You only need deductive when it's bloody obvious. There has to be that abductive, that spark of genius that puts it all together, those different bits of knowledge to me. So I think it's just as crucial. If it's bloody obvious, you don't need abductive, but anything major where you go, oh, wow, requires that abductive thought first and then the deductive to validate it.
Yeah, so this is the link to them on why they say science doesn't prove things. Because they don't think deductively.
I suppose the difference there is the abductive is based on facts and knowledge, yeah? Whereas the inductive is literally based, that inductive knowledge is based on a correlation.
A correlation that you are inducing. Because it just sounds good to you.
By statistically comparing.
It could be the cockerel, or it could be the other bird over there that happens to sing every morning when the sun comes out, right? I could just pick and choose which one I want. I'm inducing that correlation.
Yeah.
something is happening.
You're naturally suggesting, aren't you, that there's something to look at.
Hold up, Arwen. Go ahead, Adam. Go ahead and finish, and then Arwen right after.
That was it. I said by using statistics, to correlate the two. That's kind of your natural thing. The reason you bothered to put the numbers together is to induce. Yeah, you're saying, oh, this could cause this based on literally correlation. I said there doesn't have to be any knowledge of the suns or cockerels whatsoever to put that correlation together in an inductive thought. Isn't it? But the abductive would require you to, you'd rule it out quick once you understood a cockerel and I was going to say understood the sun, but I pulled back out that quick. Did you get me? The cockerel would do it. You could use deductive reasoning that the cockerel is. But that would be important, John, isn't it, in science? It's a bit like if some fool turned up and said, oh, there's acid. If you put acid in water, it makes it boil. Yeah? And scientifically, if that was common thought at that point, you would need both. You would need deductive reasoning to demonstrate it doesn't, to really validate your theory. Especially if that was common thought.
Validate your theory.
Yeah, you started at the beginning about a compilation of experiments to give a theory of something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just as important. Like I said, if somebody came up, we're talking about the boiling pot of water at SDP. But if Nathan uses the analogy, that's why I use it. If it was common thought that it was the acidity, you would also have to then look at that, say, no, it doesn't really, or like with some minerals, you get small movement. And further, you'd have to validate it. And those negatives are just as important to rule out stuff.
Sure.
When you fail. Almost.
Yeah,
again, it's proving something,
Yeah, a failure is not a failure of validating the alternative hypothesis is not a failure, right? You just learned something. One less thing. Right?
It's one more thing. It's not a failure in scientific learning. It's another fact gained in scientific
Exactly.
learning.
Yep.
So proved.
Go ahead.
You know. Proved something. Proved the null.
Exactly.
So you say, if A then B is your alternative. If A not B is null, you vary you think's going to cause the effect. Bit of wiggle, as Anthony Riley would say, and it doesn't cause the effect. How did you phrase it to me? Well, it's not that. So you know that at the end of the process.
Yep. Yes, sir. Arwen, did you have something to add there?
Yeah, I was basically just agreeing. I was just thinking about that induction really is the first step in trying to figure out correlations and structure in order to get to an abductive form of reasoning. So without any induction, there's no engagement. But
Yeah, but
if
why do you
use
even need
if
it
you just keep it to induction and use it as a foundation, that's could be totally nonsensical.
But if that's just incorporating your observation, right? Why do you even need it if you're based on your observation, you can formulate hypotheses with abductive reasoning.
Right, but you have to have some kind of induction in order to see that it is worth exploring as a process. Right?
And you see this,
John, would you be... Sorry, go on, Flat. Sorry.
I was saying, you see, this is what shows through in astronomy and astrology and stuff. That's why they come up with this rubbish like dark matter, and now they're trying to throw dark matter away. It's because of these correlations that they make up without any actual science.
Yeah, because if you use deductive reasoning after that, you realize, whoa, obviously I can't formulate an experiment with any of this. So where do I go from here? Not science.
I just want to check with you. To me, you could go from abductive to experiment, but you would have to make it a worthwhile experiment. You've got to use deductive reasoning to actually make your experiment empirical.
You couldn't go from abductive. You couldn't formulate an abductive hypothesis.
You've got to use your deductive, haven't you, to really make it rigid within that method.
You have to make an abductive hypothesis first. Now, beforehand, you can use inductive before you reach the scientific method, possibly. Like you were talking about before, that made a little bit more sense to me. Before you even get to the scientific method, some induction would take place, but that's where it would end.
When I say about deductive, I think you could get to abductive, to hypothesis from abductive, but to get them from hypothesis to experiment, you've got to use deductive to strengthen it up within method.
Yep. You guys like this part, don't you? You like the logical backing of the scientific method, don't you? That's all you guys been talking about, not the other stuff.
Come home to mama.
Yeah, but John, the reason is because you get preached every day. The globe is science.
I love science, mate.
Try to induce it from them. Set them up. No pun intended. Try to induce it from. Wow, what type of logic do you use with the scientific method, man? Just set them up, dude, and get ready. You guys have the information. I gave it to you. Just sit there, wait. Just waiting for them with the trap.
oh yeah, this has been downloaded into my brain. Thanks.
If they say math, you know it's going to be
questions.
induction.
Ask him what Karl Popper had to say about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's twisted. All right, man. Well, listen, it's been fun. We can go. Let's get other people's comments. Maybe they have questions and stuff. We have a couple people in here. Neil. What's up, Neil?
New bag of donuts, hey.
Hey, bag of donuts. You got any issues, any concerns? You don't have to blow sunshine or anything. Just if you have any questions or comments, go ahead.
Getting pissed off that I keep missing the freaking show.
That's why it's taped. It's on a recording. You can always go back.
So?
Oh.
I'd like to be involved, you know. Anyway, I'm sure it was great and I am going to listen to it. But working again sucks, man. I'm missing everything.
Well, tell us how you really feel.
Can't make you New Yorkers happy at all, huh?
Nope.
Oh, Neil, you have to pay for that exhaust somehow.
Rams, what's up, man? You got anything? Any comments?
Hey,
yeah, you're there. Any comments? Any concerns? You don't have to say the show was great. I don't really care about that. I want questions or comments. The other things.
No, everything's very straightforward.
I thought so too. That's why we're not getting too many comments and stuff. I really think it is, self-evident, straightforward. You can't. There's no argument against this. None of it. Thanks, man. Skeptical. Excuse me. You're on mute. Sorry about that.
I've been actually waiting for this part for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, you were the one, right?
Yeah. I'm the one, yeah.
Didn't I ask you that Didn't I ask you that on Tuesday? Were you in here on Tuesday?
No, I wasn't around.
Oh, you weren't around? I must be thinking of something else then. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay, it's very clear, especially the part of induction and the abduction. It's very, yeah.
Did I deliver?
I appreciate it.
Did I deliver on my promise that I'd be going over it?
Oh, yeah, definitely, mate. Yeah.
Cool.
You, 100%.
Yep. You always got this, and you can always go back to it. I might pull this out and do this just by itself one day. I might have already done that on Nathan's show. I can't recall. I think I did it, but I can't pinpoint it. I might just do one just on this. So there you go. Glad you liked it. Now trap them. Sojourner, where are you sojourning to? I guess it would help if I took you off mute. As it turns out, it didn't help. Sojourner up to that mic. Get on up there. All righty then. Travis Clark, comments, questions. Not that it was good.
Hey, yeah, how you doing? Yeah, you don't have to be conscious to make an observation. The rumpus.
I like how you started with that.
I enjoyed it, man. You're missing your beautiful sidekick, Betty Van Velsen.
Yeah.
Shout out to Betty.
Thank you. I was going to say something earlier. I got off track. But the beautiful Betty Van Velsen, not on vacation, but with family. Saturdays are family days now, so she's having a difficult time making, especially, with the crazy world that we live in now. And the, some, how would you want to say, limitations in the over the other side of the pond.
Freedom limitations.
Yeah, that we have a little bit more freedom here, not much, but I think there's limitations over there on the other side of the pond that are nuanced that I'm unaware of, but spending time with family, we miss you.
All right, yeah, thanks for having me.
That's all right. Adam, you were rumpus. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. It was just I rumpused Travis. It was just send a bit of love to Betty. Yeah, take it easy, though.
Cool. All right, sir. Let's go, sirs. Let's wrap it up. I don't think we have any ladies in here. Let's wrap it up, sirs. We'll go with final thoughts and channel shout-outs. Start off with Arwen. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on here. I had a bit trouble getting into the fine works of the material again. It always takes some focus. And yeah, it is Saturday night. So. But yeah, it's been good to be a part of it again. And yeah, I still have a daily show, Flat Earth Early Bird Show, every day, 1 p.m. Amsterdam time, the weekdays, 2 p.m. Amsterdam time in the weekend. And yeah, it's good to be here. I'll just keep on going as I do as usual and keep it up.
All right, sir. Thank you. Remember, before we get to chocolate, those numpty clips are coming. Look out. They're going to be premieres, so it's gonna take a while to get through them all, but we're going to do it. Keep a weathered eye out because they're a gold mine. Chocolate, final thoughts, channel shout out, sir.
Nah, man. Good presentation as usual. I don't know if you guys like hip hop. I got a couple songs on my channel y'all can check out. My newest one's called Globetards. Sorry, not sorry. And yeah, check it out. Chocolate Saying, channel name.
Cool.
Yep.
When are you gonna premiere it?
Hear it. Been on my channel for like a week.
I've used it on one. I've used that song in my one video already on.
Oh, really? That's
You
awesome.
missed it?
Yeah.
All right,
On
Flatzoid.
Equinox's bunk.
All right, Flatzoid. We're not getting into that conversation. Channel shout outs. You got a channel in here too, right? Is that correct? Could you do me a favor? Go ahead and put your channel link inside Ballbusters live stream text. It's right above this room. If you could put your link in there, I'll put it in the YouTube chat.
Okay, I'll quickly do that.
Can you do two things at once?
was going to say, because he's a bloke, I'll provide filler for him while he goes and gets
Okay.
and plug him.
Hey, I get this at work, yeah, because I work in pretty much an exclusive female environment, and can you not do two things at once? I just no, I'm a bloke. I'm a bloke. I do one thing properly.
Exactly.
I'm gonna
Now,
post the
Frank-
link to my song in your chat if that's cool, Chewy.
Yeah, go ahead. That's fine.
Okay, it is in the chat. Yeah.
I remember the song now. I already commented. It's 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. No.
Hello. Flatsoid's going to shout his own channel out.
Well, just want to say, QE, next time, don't take a big bite of a banana when Meekin's got a person talking.
Yeah. Right.
But a good show, as always. Really learn a lot every time you miss something, and then you reiterate it really well. I want to say thanks, and yeah, I've got a channel. It's Flatsoid FE. I do different types of things. I like to do demonstrations, and yeah, it's a growing channel. So if you want to check it out, go ahead, Flatsoid FE. Thanks, Kiwi.
Growing channel, that's his way of saying he's upped his game and gained subscribers because the material's getting better. But Flatsoid's channel's really good, and I often check out Flatsoid's channel. There's a link in the live stream chat that's floating on by. We cover everyone. Did we get to Adam?
Oh, I have actually got a request this week, certainly from anyone who is watching live now and gets to this point of the show on the replays. Obviously, I used to be on Iron Realm, so everything I did was on there, and I'm no longer part of that. So I've got a request. I'm going to join the crew of spamming links there. If I could request people, I've only got like 300 subscribers on my channel. It's kind of made up of your intro, Ballbusters intros, and a couple of others, chocolates tunes that we put videos to. So yeah, a request there if people would subscribe, because I think you need 1,000 to go live and stuff, and that used to be part of the fun before lockdown, going out there and doing live stuff on Iron Realm. So it'd be appreciated if you could help me get to a channel that's builds up to that. And you kind of mentioned Flatsoid. That's the second thing I want to mention tonight. Kind of before I thought about mine. This guy's putting out some brilliant stuff. Some of it sarcastic, but all of it right, informative and scientifically based. Yeah, and he's the master of gas. So yeah, just want to give a shout out to Flatsoid's channel, and certainly subscribe to that, even if you don't mind. Thanks, dude.
Oh, shucks.
Thanks, Adam.
Mate,
Appreciate
it's wicked. It's wicked. This what you've put out. The
Flatsoid
past
is
2 or
dope.
3 have been great.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate that. Nathan, sir, take us home.
I've also got something to plug because I've got a show that's going out that's brand spanking new right now on my second channel. So be here or be sphere. Brand new Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show premiering right now on the Nathan Oakley channel. So I have spammed the link to that in the live stream chat for Quantum Eraser. And quickly on the re-up, because there's no longer any Ballbusters and After Shows left. So next Saturday, there won't be a live Ballbusters or an Uncut and After Show on QE's channel, but there will be a rerun of this show. Typically, there is actually an Uncut and After Show that goes out straight after. So also, if you're watching it on the rerun, chances are there's a brand new Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show also going out after this show. So check that out if you're on a rerun. But live right now, there is genuinely a show going out. So here or be sphere on my second channel. Massive thank you to the server, their opinions. Obviously, thank you to all of the panel, but most importantly, thank you to Quantum Eraser for giving us dropped anchor presentation extravaganza that's been ongoing for a while on science and the scientific method. Science is a very important subject. We all need to take heed, listen up, watch this over and over again. Watch it next week when it's rerun on my show. So I've been Nathan Oakley. A massive thank you to all of you in the live audience for tuning in, hopefully smashing the super chat and subscribing and all that good stuff. There's lots of links of people in the live stream chat going by right now, so subscribe to all of them. Most importantly, go and watch my show. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in Next Ballbusters.